mute. I hope you guys can hear me. Record to the cloud. We are on time. Okay. It's 15, 16. We'll wait for a minute. So as for the exam one, I'm kind of pleased with the overall average, but some reason, I don't know, some of them didn't get the question properly, I would think. And I made sure that I confused you guys enough to on the third question. I have given you a lot of information, more than what you need. And then people are thinking that I have to use this information somehow. And where is this should go? So spending time on that, I really sympathize with you guys. But like that's the idea, when you have, but I gave you all the information that you need. I did not take away anything. Normally, what I do in the exam, I take the information that you need and I give you information that you don't need. That's real life, right? But at least in this time, in this instance, I gave all the information you need plus information you don't need, right? So you need to figure that out. That's okay. But majority of you got it right. Majority of you got it right. And there are few folks, and I saw the same error. I don't know how that happened on doing the second problem on the lethality thing. Again, we did problem in the class, and we did actually a spreadsheet sort of thing. We all gone through that. If you could have used the same spreadsheet that we did in the class, just change the numbers, you would have got the right answer. But I don't know what happened. There are few folks who did what they did wrong in their assignment. The same error was replicated in their exam. So I don't know. So I sympathize with that. So having said that, I will try to make an attempt by end of next Friday, not this Friday, like before you all go to your spring break. If you go through your exam, it's already posted on Canvas, with the comments what you did wrong. And if you know what you did wrong, and write a reflective essay that what went wrong, like why you did wrong, kind of like explaining how you got it wrong. I'll give you 1/3 of the point back that you lost. So let's say if you lost 30 points overall, I'll give you 10 back. So that will boost your grade a little bit. But you need to submit that. I will create an assignment, another assignment there on Canvas for you to submit by next Friday evening. Not this Friday, because this Friday we have an assignment due. So next Friday evening, you submit your reflective thing, then I'll give you 1/3 of points back. That includes both my part and Dr. Dave Smith's part, everything. So if you have lost points, I'll give you 1/3 back. So this, somebody have like 95 out of 100, please don't bother. Don't do that. Oh, I got out of 5 points I lost, I'm going to get 2 points back. No, don't waste your time on that. So this is for the folks who have lost a lot of points. This is going to help them. I would say like if somebody got 80 and above, probably I don't know what this is going to be. But again, I'm not saying that don't do it, but somebody who got really 90, 95, please. I don't want you to make an attempt. You can still make an attempt. I will give you points if you do it, but I'm just saying is it really worth it? That's what I'm saying. They're worth your time. You make the decision. You make the decision. So for all of you in the class, I will create an assignment open on Canvas, which will be due next Friday before you all go to your spring break. Make sure to explain what went wrong. And because Catherine took an effort to post the right solution for some of you, like you got completely like 0 for a particular question. She posted the right answer. So now you know what you did wrong, kind of. And if you don't understand, you need to come and ask us. Like, I don't still follow how you did this. I'm not getting it. So we need to know, because this is a process, is the fundamental is learning the material, not the score. Okay. All right. Okay, let's get on with the class. Extrusion processing. The extrusion, it's by itself a unit operation and also a process. When you go through the lecture material, you will know how it is a unit operation or how it's a process, extrusion process. So principal applications for extrusion includes ready-to-eat cereals. I would say like 90% of the cereals in the marketplace are all extruded products. I used to put Cheerios, box of Cheerios on the image. And I tell them that Cheerios is not extruded. But Cheerios, General Mills have a patented, unique process. I cannot tell you guys. If somebody has worked in General Mills, probably like you would know a little bit more about it. But I cannot explain more than that. But they have a unique process. Let's put it that way. And that is not extrusion. But on the other hand, like all the other Cheerios lookalikes, from Post, from you name it, all kinds of products, they're all extruded. So when you look at the Post cereal, or even like any other brand cereal from Kellogg's and whatnot, you look at them, they will all be uniformly donut shaped. Every one of them will be, you can look at it in a microscope kind of thing. So uniform compared to, you go take the Cheerios, they will not be. The Cheerios, each one will be kind of unique, pretty random. So that's why they have a unique process. And then macaroni are a whole range of pasta products. I just like put macaroni here, all kinds of pasta products. And then extruded snacks, then soup bases, textured soy and pet food. So these are all the categories. You will look at each one of them. So, and for ready-to-eat cereal products, you see your Rice Krispies, your Cheerio type products, your cornflakes, your honeycombs, everything. And donut shaped ones with kind of like cinnamon and whatnot, things your shaped like X's, or your what's it like?
Okay, over there.
Cereals like Lucky Charms, where you have different shapes, just ball shaped ones, to flakes. So all of them are like quite a bit of products that are in the marketplace. Mysterious, yeah, that's right. Somebody made a comment. Rehydratable noodles that include all kinds of shapes. Minute rice, that's also extruded.
Was that not Orzo?
Hmm?
Is that not Orzo?
Orzo too, Orzo or minute rice, like those things are all like, I'm just talking about like the rice look alike, but it is cooked rice. So that's why like minute rice, basically you add hot water, you have rice, right? For cooking rice, you normally cook rice for 20 minutes. You get the rice, actually soak it in water. If you're going to pressure cook it, maybe 15 minutes cooking. But this minute rice, just like, pour hot water, you have the rice, right? So this is already extruded, shaped like a rice bowl. Yeah. I mean, these are all like egg noodles, egg kind of like proteinies and tortinis and you name it. All of those products. And then extruded snacks. Your Cheetos is pretty, or puffed pecans product, or your puffed potato products, onion ring type of products, you name it, cheese balls. So whole range of extruded snacks. Texturization, both starch and as well also protein. So restructuring starch can happen with texturizing under extrusion. Restructuring meat muscle, like if you get some of the meat products that's no good to sell in the marketplace, but they are really still high protein, you can take them up and you can create a restructured steak, restructured look alike of the other high value product. We can do that. Restructuring vegetable proteins, that's we have a plant protein innovation center in our department. That's pretty much it all started long time back. It's not new technology, but there is a renewed interest on plant protein based products now. But on the other hand, like, and I can tell you, I worked on plant protein based product development in, I think, 1994. It's just like 25 years back. So, and I was working on it means I was not the first one to work. So that means somebody was even working before me. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So it's not a really a new technology, but the only thing is the technology gained the momentum recently with Beyond Burger and Impossible Burger and those sort of things. But the information is there for a long time. Snack pellets. This is also there, like, again, mostly shapes that you can look at it. Filled snacks. So I used to teach back in Virginia, and when I asked, like, how many of you guys eat Hot Pockets or Croissant Pockets? Pretty much all graduate students or undergraduate students say, yeah, we do, because that's our staple food to live on in a way. So those are all extruded. Your cheese sticks also extruded. What you call a co-extrusion process, which means both material comes up in two different barrels, extruder barrels, and then they are put together at one point as they come out. Okay, and I've been to a process facility where they are making onion rings for Burger King. So when you look at onion rings, if you're cutting onions, no true onion would be of same shape, right? Like there will be inner ring and outer ring and outer ring and like that. But when you go to the Burger King onion ring, they will all be exactly the same size, same shape, more or less, right? How could that be? We don't question that, right? So it's actually extruded. It's like put together. It's a formed product. Okay. So you have the onion, and then you have this onion goo that's pumped through the center, and your breading batter comes up on the top. Then you form the product. It's a co-extruded product. And then it goes through a fryer for partially frying, and then go through freezing, and then comes to the marketplace, when in the Burger King store, they refry it and give it to you. Okay. So it's a co-extrusion is another possibility. Pet foods. This is the major market for extruded products, and you will know why. And all the pellets kind of thing for pet foods to animal food. How many of you have been to African safari, where you see the live animals outside? You will be inside a cage, instead of animals inside a cage. Have you been anywhere like that? No. That's sad. But there are a lot of places available in the US where they take you in a cart, where you are inside the cart, and then animals will be roaming freely around. So there are places where the animals can be interacted with humans. So they give you food and you can feed them. And most of these foods are extruded pellets. So you can keep in your hand, and then they will take it out of your hand. And kids really love them. And then they will charge you at like $5 for a bucket of the shape. Maybe this is too big. Maybe like this is $15. Like, and then really $15 for this one, you are willing to pay, but this will be like 10 cents, the cost of the material to be. And basically all trash goes in, comes out as a nice pellet for the animals to eat. And the animals are well tamed to eat this. They always look for this kind of handouts from the folks coming in to see them. They'll come to you, like giraffes, zebras, you name it. Like those are like tamed animals to some extent, so they interact. And they'll tell you when you're going through a place where monkeys are, they'll say, like, close your windows, because they will steal your stuff. Yeah. So there are a lot of safaris available, and I don't know if you have, that's an experience, but I have been to really safari in Africa, which is different. Real animals living in their own natural environment. You don't feed them. Sorry, don't do that. Yeah. Like in those places, actually, you go with a armed guard. Actually, I walked on foot through some portions of the safari area with an armed person coming along with me, the game warden. He will explain, like they'll say, oh, this is the track of such and such animal. And then he will say, like, I saw this particular animal this close, kind of like all these kind of horror stories, if you want to say. He will keep you engaged. Yeah. So an extrusion system is, as I mentioned, it is an unit operation because there are so many things that are going along. You have add minor ingredients, and then you add water, and then this goes to your extruder barrel. When it comes out here with the product coming along through a die hole, and then you shape the product to the design. And when you look at it, the raw material includes starch, fiber, protein, or anything that can go in, and minor ingredients. We did talk about that. And then when you look at the parameters that you can modify in the screw, is a screw configuration. We'll study more about that later. And then the die design process parameters include how fast you can run the speed of the screw, how much material can go through that mass throughput rate, and then you can barrel temperature. Sometimes you heat the barrel, sometimes you cool the barrel. You can do that. So a jacketed barrel can do both. So type of extruders, single screw barrel or a twin screw. So single screw is cheaper and mostly used for pet food kind of thing or feed grade extruders. Sometimes they also go in plastic manufacturing, chemical manufacturing technologies. A decent single screw extruder could be about, say, $20,000, $20,000 to $50,000, something like that. But a twin screw extruder, a small one, kind of maybe like half the table size, the whole extruder part, half the table size, like 5 foot maybe, a 19 millimeter. The diameter of the screw is 19 millimeter. It's about $500,000. Okay. I wanted to get one when I was in Virginia in 98, 99. That time it was $500,000. So it could be more than that now. I want to get an APV Baker 19 millimeter screw. It's like almost like a toy for the industry. It's like a pilot plant scale. That is $500,000. Pretty expensive. Okay. And when you go to industry like General Mills or Post, they will have like 50 millimeter dia, and then the screw would be from here to the end of the room, kind of. The whole extruder would be, and then look at the price of that, because it's a unique process that making those stainless steel screw. You got to machine it very perfectly. The barrel have to be properly, shaped and whatnot made. The machining is very expensive process. In the twin screw extrusion is very advantageous compared to a single screw. That's why twin screw is very popular in the food industry, especially for human food kind of thing. Efficient conveying, and then you can add anything, variety of ingredients. It's called self-wiping, which means when I have 2 screws going in, that one wipes over the other. Okay. So when you look at it like the screw rotating and the screw rotating, this screw will wipe this one and this screw will wipe this one. So you don't need to worry about anything clogging, any material, dead material in there. So no effluent in a sense. That means whatever you put in will come out. Definitely will come out. No wastage. And wide range of products. The manufacturing cost is minimal. Even though the cost of the machine is, the capital cost is so expensive, but once you start running the machine, the actual manufacturing cost is so cheap. So it will go for a long way. The problem with twin screw extrusion, even today, like the extrusion technology is 50, 60 year old, maybe even more than that. Even today, it's not well understood. So you need to go for real experts to make some of these design changes, which means if you are an extruder expert, I'll tell you, you will make money like anything. Actually, you can rake the money. You will be rich. And I know that there are only 10 or so extruder experts in the world.
10.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And at least I know a couple of them. Okay. Both of them are in Minnesota. I know. So I'm just saying, like, this is a complex machine, complex, mechanically complex machine. We will see more about it as we talk more down the line. And then also the twin screw extruder compared to single screw has a limitation for pressure and torque. So you cannot run an infinite torque or infinite pressure levels. So there is a limitation. Other than that, like a single screw can take a little bit more torque. You can put a bigger, powerful motor to churn the thing. And it's capital cost. It's very expensive. You already know, like a small one, a toy is $500,000 if you want to play. So the definition for extrude is this: shaping of a material by forcing softened plasticized material through a die by pressure. Simple. I'm going to create a shape of a desired shape by forcing soft plasticized material through a die. That is means extrude. So the extrude could be something simple, what we call like forming extruder or cold extrusion. So you're not heating it at all. You basically force that go through a die, you create shapes.
Is that basically just a pressurized grinder at that point?
Not a grinder, it doesn't even grind. It's just like you send the material through. So we have extruders for making Indian snacks. Like, you have a handheld one, you put the dough and then you give pressure and then it comes through the hole and make shapes. That's a cold extruder. That's the extrusion. Extrusion is you get a soft plasticized material, then you force it through a hole or a die to create a shape. But in extrude, in addition to that, you are also doing cooking. The cooking extruder is the one that's more advanced. So the cooking process for extrusion is completely different. In addition to forming that material, in extrusion, mostly the water content should not be more than 25%, 10 to 25. So basically you put the raw material as phase. Compared to in your conventional cooking, it's almost like 70 to 95%, like almost water. The temperature with extruder, it will reach almost 200 degrees Celsius, just like that. Compared, it will take a long time, but you don't go more than 120, like that's your steam temperature. Unless if you want to consider frying, you go for 170, okay? But in here, in extrusion, the actual cooking process is less than a minute. Compared to your traditional cooking, it takes more than 30 minutes. Okay, so it's a high temperature, short time, actually ultra high temperature, ultra short time, like less than a minute. And because of that, it doesn't have any of the side effects and has improved flavor, improved nutrition and all that. And because of the heat, it can destroy enzymes, it can destroy microorganisms. It can also target anti-nutritional factors that are there, like toxins, like that in the food. And then when we look at the extrusion process, we have preconditioner. We already showed you, like, that minor ingredients kind of things, moisturize. You can add heat with steam. You mostly mix with low shear, and then you try to get a uniform material to go through your extruder. Then you have screw. Screw is the major part of your extruder, where the heat is generated by viscous dissipation. That's the fundamental for extruder, is viscous dissipation. And then you can also do heat transfer. Remember, like we talked about barrel heating or barrel cooling, and heat transfer, and then steam injection. You can also add steam along the line. They inject steam inside the barrel. They vent the steam. You can add flavors into the extruder. And then at the end of the screw, you have the restriction. That's your die. So a single screw extruder, which you have an idea, when you look at it, this portion, the pitch is open. And also the gap between the screw and the barrel would be open-ended. This is called feeding zone. In the feeding zone, mostly the screw will be or the screw. Somebody said something? Okay. So the feeding zone is most of the time it will be a starved screw. Starved screw means it will not be completely filled. You can keep on adding more. But as that goes to a kneading zone, kneading zone, you can automatically you can see the pitch has reduced, and then the gap between the barrel wall and the screw is also narrow. So you starts to see kneading. Kneading is almost like massaging. And then this is the final cooking zone where the pitch even narrows, and then the gap also is like practically nothing. It's almost like very minimal. So in that case, if this gets cooked. So if you talk about a single barrel, single screw barrel, the cooking happens only here. So how much time, residence time that the product is going to be in this portion? Less than a minute. Like less few seconds if you want to put it that way. The actual process happens there. Okay. So flow in the screw, this is a fundamental. Laminar flow. Please remember that. Laminar flow. There is no turbulence. Flow caused due to shear. The flow happens because the screw moving. And then particles move in parallel plates, parallel paths. So they don't mix. So no radial mixing. So if I'm going, it's like going in a highway, everybody going in their own lane. You keep your speed. Don't change your lane. The faster lane guy comes to the slower lane guy speeds up to the faster lane. None of that happens. Everybody in their lane going in their own speed. It's like German highways, right? Zoom, zoom, zoom. Keep going. All right. So you go in your lane, go in your speed. So the fast lane, the fastest lane in the high, like even within the multiple lanes, the fastest lane is the inner lane, right? So the cars will be going really fast. The lane to the close to the exit kind of thing, they'll go slow, right? So that's what you have. That's the laminar profile, right? So laminar profile will be like this. So this is the fast lane, guys, and this is closed, right? Something like that. So this is laminar flow, no radial mixing. Unless otherwise we create such a thing. I can create a reverse screw element. I can put a dam. I can put a kneading element. I can put a cut flights in the screw. And then those would disrupt the flow, causes radial mixing. But if I don't put any of that, just regular screw all the way through, no radial mixing. Okay. Like if I don't have a car stop in the fast lane, this car have to go around. Otherwise, it will keep going in the same lane, right? So if I don't create impediments for the flow would be basically linear. Go in your lane. Laminar flow. Okay. The effects of shear. If I increase the shear, that means I can increase most changes that are happening in my food, the mechanical damage in the food, that will reduce particle size. It's like grinding. Somebody talked about grinding. You didn't mention that. So when you're making even the material going faster than the other one, they rub against each other, and then they break things down, right? So you get a reduced particle size by increasing the shear. Increased solubility, because basically the material broken down material will be ready to dissolve than lump. And then softer texture and orientation. Orientation happens. So that's the beauty of extruder is if I'm keeping proteins that are going in, and then if the proteins can bind to themselves, I can really create the striations like actually that you see in the meat. So that's why you can create a fake meat with extruder when you're using plant protein. Then I know like shear is a good thing for me. So how do I increase the shear? Either I reduce the moisture content of my material, go for a low moisture, like material will be not ready to flow. So I create that kind of a friction. Or higher screw speed, run the screw faster. There's a limit. I cannot do infinitely, but increasing the screw speed increases shear, increases the work. increase the compression ratio. Compression ratio means the diameter for the feed screw to diameter for the cook portion. So you remember, like in a single screw, we talked about something like that. This is a screw. Screw will be the same with the bigger pitch. This is the screw. Get the idea, right? So this is the diameter. This diameter. So the compression ratio is D cook over D feed. Right? Or I can reduce the barrel wall temperature. By reducing it, temperature cooling down, you are increasing the viscosity, which means the product will not flow easily, which means you got to be pushing it down. Shear increases. Also reduced feed rate. Then longer residence time, which means you got to redesign your whole screw, keep it longer residence time. And then small die opening. You put a restriction at the end. If you don't get enough pressure to go through the die hole, you are going to be being churned inside your screw all the while. So you're increasing shear. So the restriction techniques include a die, definitely the die hole, or reverse pitch screws, which means if I have screw going in one direction, you reverse the pitch completely. So if this screw is going in this direction, a reverse pitch screw will be like this. Okay, so as the material is flowing, as the rotation is happening, so this is also rotating in the same way. So this will create a flow on this direction. So the flow here have to be maximum to cause a flow go around here. So you are increasing pressure at this point. The pressure profile will be different. Okay. Also cut flight screws, which means like basically you cut the flight will not be continuous. So you create cracks or cuts in the flights. Or a dam. Dam is, it will not move further. So you create a dam elements. I have pictures, all of them you can see. So in a sense, also when you are talking about a twin screw, they will have an inter-meshing screw profile. So this has to match this one. I cannot put a different screw here, the same pitch, kind of that, so that they need to go around. So the screw elements will that's why in a twin screw, it's mechanically complex because you can actually make arrangements the way. I'll put like 2 or 3 feed screw, and then I'll change it and maybe put a reverse screw there, and then put some cooking screw, maybe add some kneading element like that. So I build my own screw profile. Selection of various screw elements for twin screw extruders include, as I mentioned, from feed screw to this is the dam element, to this is the same feed screw, to here narrow pitch screws. So quite a number of them. So large pitch conveying elements, the major function is to volumetric displacement. We all know that the larger pitch means that's mostly used for feed screw. So feed intake and also downstream feeding of solids. You can think of that. Or sometimes when you're adding flavor into your food, into your extruded process, on injection ports, you need to have a bigger screw pitch because you need to create again a starved thing. You don't want the material to come out, rather whatever you're putting in, it should go in. Same way after pressure buildup zones, you want that everybody to come in. Medium pitch conveying elements, Then conveying elements, mostly used for mixing in the knee portion of the conveying elements, or between mixing and conveying purposes. So it's somewhere in between. Then small pitch elements, they are basically used in the cooking section. It increases the degree of fill while conveying, and also medium pitch elements before mixing sections. And this is mostly used in the last barrel section for pressure buildup purposes. I told you, like, this is for cooking. The narrow staggered kneading discs obviously tells you kneading. Kneading is like creating the radial mixing, in a sense, like, you know, as if you are trying to make a dough, knead the dough, right? So it's like 45-degree forward. You look at that, those things are all like disrupted. So it gives you a distributive mixing. I already told you, it's not laminar flow anymore. And then also gives you a low shear input. So mostly it's just going to stay in the same location until it gets mixed. If you have a high shear, it will be moving forward. I don't want to move forward. I want to just stay there and get mixed nicely, get kneaded completely. And also like very limited pressure buildup. It's not going to build you pressure. And mostly they put it before a reverse pitch element for high pressure peaks and high shear input. So you put a kneading element before a reverse element. So the reverse element is going to also keep the material there in your kneading section until your kneading gets nicely done. You build enough pressure for the flow to go. So you really create a mixing section. Positive mixing happens there. Reverse pitch conveying elements, I told you, when you look at it, this pitch is completely reversing it and increase degree of fill in the previous section, definitely, because you need to completely fill and then get a pressure to overflow the reverse. Otherwise, the flow will not happen. Right? Again, to create a high pressure zone. Then this is again a medium wide staggered kneading disc, pretty similar to previously we talked about kneading discs. And then neutral staggered kneading discs. Again, you can look at the flow direction. And narrow staggered, the left-handed kneading disc is something special, kind of screw elements. So then the other thing is we talked about the compression ratio, if you remember, like DA to DI ratios, outside diameter to inside diameter. So if you have a higher one, automatically that's your feed screw, right? This diameter to this diameter is bigger, means you have a deeper well for your transfer. So that's 2.25. You see that compared to it's pretty much almost like 1 or 1.25 here it is in this case. So as you reduce the ratio, your shear will increase or your volume will increase on the other hand. So like the volume will decrease, low volume to high volume, low shear to high shear. Okay, got that? Simple. And then you can look at it like this is die holes. So this one, you will look at the die hole, it's almost like a slit that you're making products like this, like lasagna, pasta, if you want to put it that way. And then these are the holes you're trying to make balls. Because of the cornstarch expanding, even a tiny hole creates a shape that big. Or it could be pellets, tiny pellets, the same hole. So the same thing can make these two products. Think of it that way. By changing the product characteristics that goes in, maybe depending upon amylose and amylopectin, or what starch you are sending in, or how much moisture that it goes in with, or what other ingredients go along with it. Maybe you get a pellet, or you may get a ball from the same die hole. Same way, like this is the same hole. You're making a product like this, like your Sunchip crisp kind of thing. And then this is an annular hole where you have an annular pin in the middle. So if you're creating your Cheerios like product or your onion ring like products, same thing. same shape. And this one, you create a variety of shapes. And then this is again a die with a special shape to come out. Okay. So again, variety of ways and means we can make. So major ingredients include ground cereal grains, starch. Starch is the one that styrofoam is your packaging material, which we create with starch, vegetable protein meal, and anything practically. Anything practically, I tell you the story. In Georgia, when I was there, southern Georgia, it's almost like close to Florida, there was a poultry farm. And then that particular year, they had some major avian flu virus attacking the chicken. He lost almost like 60% of his lot, like chicken they got to be culled. He cannot sell it in the marketplace. It's all this virus thing. So he needs to do something about it. One thing he said was, I'll not do anything to the chicken. I'll just take them with the feather and all. I will put them in this extruder barrel, put it on one side, add something else also like flour and other things. And then he created pellets. And then that pellets were used for his African safari. He had a safari too. So the kids will love feeding the animals with that pellets. And then he didn't have to waste the chicken. So he didn't even prepare the chicken like bone and all. Like he said, put the whole damn thing. Okay. So practically you put anything will come out. That's what it says, anything practically. Okay. So there's another farmer in Florida. The guy had a similar problem at the same time, but he didn't go for an extruder. He just went and got alligators and then feed this dead chicken to the alligators. And then after that, he's done with the alligators. He just killed the alligators, got the skin out of it, and made purses and bags and whatnot. That's another way of taking care of the problem. So either you go through a feed extruder or get some free alligators. And I think Florida, maybe alligators is pretty common, right? Yeah. So alligators eat everything practically, right? Anything practically. Minor raw ingredients include water, salt, sugar, emulsifiers, colorings, flavor, you name it, fat. So I think I'm going to stop here, and then we'll do these theoretical aspects in the next lecture. Go really deeper. Yeah. And then based on theoretical aspect, I also used to do problems actually with my engineering class, but I don't know you guys would be ready for it or not. If somebody is interested, we can work on it. All right, I'll stop here. Some questions on the chat window, I guess. I have a question on the homogenization lab. Oh, that's a lab report. I will have to get back to you, Tyler, about this. I'll send you an email. Okay, that's a question about the lab. All right, I'll stop sharing. Okay.